Call of Duty Black Ops 4 Zombies.
Who did this?
Black Ops 4 has been out a little over a year now, and it is without a doubt in the community's eyes possibly the worst zombies experience that Call of Duty has put out. Okay, maybe not the absolute worst. For the record, I like exo zombies, but I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. Many people, however, have very strong feelings of hate and disgust when it comes to Black Ops 4 Zombies, and some people have strong feelings of love and adoration for the game. Me personally, well, I don't think the game lived up to the expectations I and many others set for the game. This look back will be, in my opinion, and in no way am I going to say if you disagree that you are wrong. I can understand both sides in the argument. Personally, this is just how I feel. So let's get into where Black Ops 4 Zombies went wrong. We start off just before the summer of 2018, the Black Ops 4 reveal event. Everyone was excited. As the room slightly changed and became drab, we knew Zombies was going to be announced. Jason Blundell walks onto the stage, and you can hear from the crowd, "We love you, Jason." The Zombies community is one of love and passion. This game mode has been going on for a decade now, starting in World at War with its basic roots. Jason announces there will be a new story we can follow, the Chaos story, and we see the opening cutscenes for both 9 and Voyage of Despair. I and the community were stoked. This looked like a great new crew to follow, and hopefully they will get their time to shine. I was excited to play on the Titanic. It's such a great concept. And then he says, "Let's travel through the ether," and we fade into a black and white candle. We hear the little glimpse of where are we going. Color fades in, and the camera pans up, and we see our beloved Primus crew. Everyone goes nuts. Ether was back, and we finally, after years of remaster Mob of the Dead memes, we finally have it. They announced a new thing called Factions, in which you have 4 teams, so to speak, that would affect the story and how you play. Little did we know that would never come to pass. Time goes on, and we get the announcement of the Black Ops Pass, and that we will be getting a remake of the map 5 from Black Ops 1. So we now know there will be 4 maps on launch, complete with Easter eggs for everyone to discover. What more could we ask for, right? Well, launch comes, and boy was it good. Everyone was posting guides, live streaming Easter egg steps, and it was crazy. A new game, a new system, 4 new maps to hunt for, plus a new game mode called Rush, where you essentially will defend areas and increase your score. We were so excited we didn't stop to think about what had been changed. And here's where it falls apart for many. After the Easter eggs for the 3 maps, 9, Voyage, and Blood were found, we were still trying to complete the classified Easter egg, only to find out you had to get to a high round of 150 to do it. The game wasn't stable enough. During the first few weeks and even the first few months, the game was constantly crashing even on round 3 for picking something up. The game was ridden with bugs. Now, we know that Treyarch was crunched on time due to Activision wanting to add in a battle royale just a few months before release. It is my assumption that during that time, most of the teams had to switch from what they were doing to work on the battle royale known as Blackout. Due to this shift in work, Zombies got neglected. Zombies clearly was not given the budget they deserved, and that started a huge decline in this addition to the series. While we did get 4 maps on launch and an entire new game mode, Zombies got stale after about 1 month of playing due to bugs and just lack of content. Personally, I would rather have gotten 2 maps on launch that are filled to the brim with content than 4 maps that have some basic mechanics of what we've been used to. Along with that, there were many changes that people were unsure of. Treyarch took pretty much everything that made us fall in love with Zombies, something they themselves created, and flipped it around. They wanted to give us something new and fresh. They made change for the sake of making change and not bettering the game. They changed the perk system beyond repair, introducing it into a create a class system. Instead of having all perks on the map, you select what perks to place in the game and they go towards designated bland machines pre-placed in the game. Personally, the old system was just fine. The reason it was good is because getting a perk felt necessary. You had to start off in a panic, not having jug, reloading slow, weapons doing far less damage, etc. It was progressional. You knew when starting up a match, you needed to find the power and jug. Now, while only having 4 perks started becoming an issue as more perks were introduced, most maps gave you a way of getting more perks, with the exception of Black Ops 3 where you had to spend money, but that's just a completely different conversation. Ascension and Shang, the monkeys, Call of the Dead, Kill George, in Die Rise, the jumping jacks, etc. Of course, there were more maps, but that's just the gist of it. Infinite Warfare Zombies fixed this by giving you 5 perk slots instead of 4, which was incredible, and that should have been adopted for Black Ops 4. And you could get rid of a perk that you didn't want anymore. But now you're forced into using bland perks that don't feel good to use because they're all just mediocre. Some games I've gone without using any perks because none of them are really that special, and instead using those points to pack-a-punch my weapons. The progression in getting perks is gone. Not only that, but these machines are bland and they have the same jingle that just isn't recognizable. For heaven's sake, Black Ops 3 had a special edition that came with a Juggernog mini fridge. That's how iconic these old perks are. Now, I do understand that some people do enjoy this new perk system, however, it seems for the majority of the community, it was a flop. Moving on from perks, you can now select your own starting weapon, and let's be honest, you either use the Strife or the Mog. You use the Mog because it's a great shotgun with good damage, especially if you put on Dragon's Breath. Or you could use the Strife for the knife attachment, which is a one hit up through round 4. The other weapons are garbage, which is what starting weapons should be, but instead, you spawn in with great weapons without spending any points. On top of that, you now spawn in with an infinite damage weapon as your specialist, which for some people is awesome. No more lengthy fetch quests. Now you just spawn in with it and need a few kills. Isn't that fun? And the fact that there are 4 per story to choose from just makes it boring. If each map had a specific specialist, then it would be so enjoyable and would help in giving each map a personality. We are now in the days of instant gratification and not wanting to work for something. Sure, some quests can be tedious, but that's the reward for doing the tedious challenge. That's a ridiculous change that also takes away any progression in the game. Now, instead of having to go through maybe 20 rounds of killing zombies and quests, you become a god in-game. Now, you're a god at round 1. No perk progression making you feel safe, no weapon progression as you already start with good weapons you won't need to replace until round 10, and a specialist weapon that you get by killing only a few zombies right off spawn. It takes away all magic that zombies once had. Now, they also changed the point system. I don't remember where it was said, but Treyarch stated that in higher rounds, players have hundreds of thousands of points that they won't use, so they decided to change that. Instead of getting 10 points per shot and 60 per kill, you get points based off damage done to zombies. In higher rounds, as zombies get harder to kill, you have less points to use traps and purchase ammo. It's an unnecessary change for the point of change. There was no need for this, and it ultimately makes an unnecessary challenge to the game in higher rounds. The game can barely support high round gameplay. Why make it more difficult for the people who do want to try that? Another issue is that there are too many different types of enemies that can be on the map at once. It's crazy. Sometimes it doesn't even feel like I'm playing zombies anymore, because half the horde could be a completely other type of enemy. It could be the electric guys that are just blasting you in the face, blurring your vision. It could be the water dudes that are beefing up all of the zombies, making them take a lot more damage before they die. Hellhounds, Nosferatus, Blight Fathers, werewolves, everything. There's so many different types of enemies now in this game that it just takes away the feeling of zombies. No longer do you have to worry about just getting your train of zombies and shooting at them. Now you have to worry about, oh, there's this little vermin dude that I have to take out before I focus on anything else because that could really cock up this train. It's terrible. It's so annoying. I don't understand why this change was implemented. What happened to the days of Kino der Toten when you just had zombies and Nova 6 crawlers, or Doris, zombies and hellhounds? That was fine. I was totally fine with zombies and hellhounds spawning in, because on Doris and those maps where you had hellhounds, there were maybe 3 on the map at one time and they were pretty easy to kill. Now in Black Ops 4, when hellhounds spawn in, there's like up to 6 of them at one time and they're on steroids. It's crazy. The hellhounds can absolutely kill you. There's no reason to have more than 3 on the map at a time. It's just too much to handle. Now sure, they might have thrown that in to make the game more challenging, but it doesn't even feel like zombies anymore. It just feels like half the horde is zombies, the other half is just random enemies that Treyarch decided to make to just annoy you, basically. It's just too much to handle. Moving on from that little mini rant. The elixir system versus the gobblegum system was another change that ruined everything. In Black Ops 3, you had 1 gobblegum, but in Black Ops 4, you have elixirs that use all 4 D-pad buttons. Now this takes away the button for your shield, so that had to be moved. But to where? Oh, how about the tactical slot? So now, monkeys or any equipment unlocked in the game is useless because of how broken overpowered Wraithfires are. Who the hell would use monkeys or a Hell's Retriever when you can have unlimited damage, fast-charging fire bombs? You wouldn't. You can only use one lethal or tactical, not both now, and it's kind of ridiculous. Elixirs are also much less powerful than Gobblegums. Now I don't use them anyways, but you can't argue you felt like a god in Black Ops 3. Now they have introduced some great ones into Black Ops 4 that were from Black Ops 3, such as Shopping Free, Perkaholic, etc., but they just don't feel the same. They feel like cheap knockoffs. So with all of those changes, it affects everything you've ever known about zombies, and also makes for a gross looking heads-up display that I'm surprised never got an update. Like, why do I need to see a picture of my gun that I'm currently holding in my hands? Whatever, I'm used to it at this point. I don't like it at all, but I've accepted it. Hell, I even made a video of fixing the Black Ops 4 heads-up display, and many people on Reddit seem to love it. All these changes make the early game so boring and stale now. There are just too many ways to save yourself at once. Dying Wish, Victorious Tortoise, pulling out your specialist kills all the zombies around you, Anywhere But Here, Wraith Fires. This is one of the easiest zombie games of all time. Growing up playing zombies, I was always terrified in the earlier rounds because I could die so fast. You have to either prioritize buying a gun or getting Jug. Whichever I chose could either help me or screw me. If we had Black Ops 4 when I first played zombies at the age of 10 or 11, I don't think I would have stuck around. It's just boring now. Black Ops 4 now has an identity crisis with all of these changes. Plus, the game tries to juggle the brand new Chaos story along with completing the beloved Ether story. It's obvious to me that Revelations was supposed to be the complete end to the story, as it does make sense. Everything is in a loop with no end. Exactly what the gameplay is for the entire game mode. Endless waves upon waves. Really, it's metaphorical of what the game is. But the community did not like that and wanted more. Papa Activision saw the want for Ether, and Treyarch wanted to try to deliver an ending that would satisfy everyone. Because Ether was in this game, it made people not want to give Chaos a chance, because we were in high anticipation to the end of a decade-long story. Chaos was messy, I'll admit that, and it really only got good near Ancient Evil. However, 9 is one of the best maps, and made with so much love. You can tell the Chaos story was based off of the whole idea of just making 9. The 4 gods having their own uniquely designed area just looks beautiful. If 9 wasn't in Black Ops 4 and it was instead in Black Ops 3, it would be a top 5 map, no doubt. Now, because of the push for making Blackout and zombies not receiving the love from Activision, it killed it. Playtesters weren't getting the respect they need and had terrible work environments. This added to more bugs on release of new maps and a lack of player engagement because of this. Every DLC was more broken than the last. And then, suddenly, a shift. Sledgehammer would not be making Call of Duty 2020. Treyarch was now tasked with that. All efforts and budget left was then moved to Black Ops 5 for a 2020 release. The Ether problem. The storyline we loved was coming to a close, and in its last moments were nothing but remakes. We had some interesting maps from the Chaos story, clearly maps Treyarch wanted to make but couldn't find a way to fit it into the Ether storyline. But now, with Ether, we go to places that we've already been with only a few new rooms added. There was no reason for this. We could have gotten new Ether maps to tie up the story, but no. Remakes. 4 original Chaos maps, 4 remade Ether maps. I think they should have given us the 4 Ether maps on launch, as they clearly were not priority, and then give us the Chaos maps as DLC to introduce the new story. At least then we're paying for new content instead of 2 remakes. Now, Ether was definitely added to this game for monetary reasons, as that's what everyone wanted. And of course, nostalgia and remakes sell, as evidenced by Chronicles in Black Ops 3. So Activision definitely had a hand in that. It seemed like Treyarch desperately wanted to make a new story and put effort into that, but good old Activision pushed them into making content they knew would generate income. As Treyarch then moved to COD 2020, they were finishing up Alpha Omega and Tag der Toten, likely with only a few team members left. Finally, we had the last 2 Ether maps of all time, and they had what I can only assume is maybe 10 people working on those maps at the time. We no longer were able to get beautiful rendered cutscenes, as those people were likely already working on COD 2020, and I'm sure cutscenes are one of the last things to be done. Time to go back to paintings. It's pretty sad. We weren't even able to get new wonder weapons. Instead, just new Raygun Mark II versions, a new Wonderwaff that couldn't stack up to its older brother, a typical Thundergun, and a Winter's Howl dressed up in a Thundergun body. With little resources and what was now probably a tiny team, they didn't have enough manpower, passion, or time to try to make the ending as beautiful as it should be. Black Ops 4 had some crazy high expectations coming off of Black Ops 3, but only because Treyarch absolutely delivered with that game. With this game, they could learn from their mistakes and expand upon what they've already expanded upon. Instead, we got this mess. Changes that didn't need to happen, an ending to a decade-long story that felt undeserved, and overall, just as consumers and lovers of zombies, just got screwed over. It makes me sad thinking about the potential this game had, just getting blasted by the Thundergun because Activision stepped where they shouldn't have stepped.
Tell me like a Hellcat.